Welcome to the Fearless in Devotion podcast, the Wrexham podcast brought to you by the finest establishment in all the land, the Fat Boar Bar and Restaurant. I'm Liam and I'm joined today by Tim, and we're nicely stuck between an Andy sandwich of Andy Gilpin and Wrexham legend Andy Morrell. You're joining us after what's been a pretty quiet week on the Wrexham front because of the international break, but believe it or not, we're now roughly a third of the way through the season, which is blown my mind just realizing that. So we thought now would be as good a time as any to take stock of, where we are, how the team is performing, and a few bits and bobs along the way. But before we get into that, the cop seems to be all systems go, gents. Some pretty heavy duty machinery turning up on site, piling rigs. I wish I could pretend I know what they are, but I'm told the fact that there is pretty big deal. Andy, you've got some goss for us on the cop front of you.
It's not really goss. After yesterday, last week, when we were talking about the lease collapse, I talked to Barry at the WST, and he says the timetable for the collapse of the lease structure is very soon. It's now. Next week, Taylor Wessing will give us a judgment on the revised collapse documents. The following week, we might need an extraordinary board meeting with one item on the agenda. Assuming we accept the new document, we've no reason to believe it won't be able to just be sent straight away to the FCA, Financial Conduct Authority, and it will take about 3 weeks for them to approve. So it should be a joint signing before Christmas, and that's another hurdle out of the way. So that's good.
Oh, okay.
That's good. Good to
Just
know.
just on that note, I noticed as well that Michael Williamson gave an interview with the leader this week talking about basically the final figure now being earmarked is 32,000 for the racecourse. Once all sides of the ground are redeveloped, which is pretty hefty. Bit more talk about the Mould Road stand as well, where he's saying, essentially you had a stand built where it goes lower down at the sides, where, I think they've clearly identified that as an area for improvement. So yeah, all systems go on that front. Good to see a bit of movement. There's paper talk this week of Connor Coady to Wolves potentially as a coach. I think it was the Telegraph that first reported on that after Rob Edwards was appointed as Wolves manager, much to the annoyance of Middlesbrough fans. What do people reckon? Is that a go with 2 years on his contract?
Please, Lord, let it be while Andy sorts his mic out. But yeah, I would. It's a weird one, isn't it, with Coady, because I watched clips of the Wrexham Wrexham Christmas lights switch on yesterday, and Coady was one of the guest of honors there, and he looked slightly uncomfortable by it all, to be perfectly honest. Especially because the former singer from Black Lace was doing the questioning, and he mentioned, what has been the highlight of your time at Wrexham Amateur Football Club? That's what
Oh
he
my
said.
God.
Yeah. All sorts of stuff. And then I think he introduced Mickey Thomas as like, coming all the way from Manchester United is Mickey Thomas. Like, who briefed this guy? Who gave him this list? Like, yeah, Mickey Thomas has recently played for Man United. Yeah, don't think so. As
How
much
is Ruben Amorim as a coach, Mickey?
Yeah, I mean, it looked bad. But Coady thing is weird. We all know that he's had a very, auspicious start to life at Wrexham. And the feeling is now, it stopped short of being a scapegoat because he hasn't played enough to be a scapegoat. But when you think of the players that have stepped up in his absence, the likes of Scar has really, really, really come to the fore since being given a run of games. I just don't. It's you find it really difficult to find a way back into this team for him. So if he's accepting of that fact that he's not going to get game time, and there isn't an opportunity for him to move back to a place where he is loved, adored, revered. I saw a lot of recent things about the best Wolves 11 recently, and loads of Wolves fans like Coady in their starting in their all-time 11. So does he go back and go, you know what? Is a chance for me to sort of cut my teeth in a sort of coaching realm, whilst also may be able to do his sort of punditry stuff, which he seems to love doing. I don't know. I find it's just unfortunate the way things have panned out for him.
Tim's written him off. He hates Connor Coady.
I
He's
don't hate
nailed
him.
that.
Don't get me into the James McLean, Andy Gilpin realm. I don't hate him.
He's nailed that.
I just think I just don't see a way back. Genuinely.
Do you think that's really the case, Maz? I mean, we'll get on to sort of grading each individual player in a bit, but how have you seen his time at Wrexham so far? And do you think there's a way back into the team for him?
Well, it's just I wouldn't have said it's gone brilliantly for him personally from the start. The Southampton game was fine, and a couple of others were in there that were okay, but that period we just were conceding so many goals at the time, and it just coincides that he's come out of the team and we've really shored up, and that's been the mainstay of why we've picked up our results for me. Whether that's coincidence or whether that is him and his ability at the moment, it's just not had a great start. What a player to have in your ranks, for experience, etc. But it's exactly like Tim says. I just don't know how he gets back in because he's got at the minute pretty much 5 players ahead of him, and when you move a player, Thomason, back into the left side to play ahead of you, sort of thing, and you're struggling. So, but you never say never because these senior pros have got a lot of experience, and you never know when you might be called upon. It happens very, very quickly. Who would have said Arthur would be in goal and playing so well now? With Wardy starting the season, so he has to be ready and maintain. And then when he does get in, he needs to prove that he's good enough to stay in there.
Where are we placing this on the Gilpin realityometer, this rumour?
I didn't know we had one. Can you pay?
I've just created it.
All right, okay. Is there a jingle? Do I have a prop?
The Gilpin realityometer.
Oh, thank you. Look, I don't know. I mean, do you pay for a coach? It seems to see. Would there be a fee involved? I mean, it's gone pretty badly. So, to be honest, you probably would let him go on a free right off the 2 million you paid just to get him off the wage bill. Maybe. I mean, this doesn't sound like what I would before Christmas. Anything I thought would happen when we signed him. I thought it was a great signing. It just hasn't really worked out. And I think Dan Scar coming in has really showed, what you need to play that position. I think it's likely. I think I don't think it's.
You offering up Connor Coady as the Black Friday deal of the century. Forget the 2 million quid. You can have him.
I don't mean. Look. If Rob Edwards is going in there and he wants a club legend alongside him to maybe play a bit, but mostly be a voice in the dressing room, you can't look better than Connor Coady. I think it would be a great fit for him to do that. So yeah, well, maybe this Wrexham. Nothing. You never say never, do you?
Yeah, no. So it's been quite an interesting one. But just to mention as well, I've approached the club through official channels, and they say they haven't been approached sort of their end as yet. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens with that one. Game on the women's front today as we're recording, which is Sunday. I think it was 6-1 in the end, wasn't it? Absolutely thumping victory over
2-1 at half time and then cut loose. Gonna win it.
So Pontypridd United put thoroughly to the sword. Goal scorers were Ava Suckley, Faye Hillier-Knox, Katie Barker got 2, Hannah Snape and Jodie Bartle. I think we're now top of the table, albeit having played one more than Cardiff and Swansea, but looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, Andy's having major mic fuck ups here. Come on, Gilpin, sort your shit out. You had a bad week last week.
Yeah, sorry. Do you know what? I had a house party here last night, and I'm still recovering from it. It's like The Walking Dead in this place at the moment. All right, okay. Head in the game. It should have been more than 6-1. Apparently, they could have even got to double figures. But their keeper, the Pontypridd keeper, was outstanding. And there'll be small margins, but at the moment they're on for winning the league, the cup, the trophy competitions. Great, brilliant. How much they've come on in the last season has just been fantastic. Well done to them.
There's a Q&A, isn't there, on is it Wednesday? I think this week. It's a free event. You can get it through the usual ticketing channels. So that'll be interesting. It's kind of like a come and see what the Wales setup, the women's setup is all about. what their plans are, where they're going, where they're heading. So it'd be quite an interesting night, that, I think, no doubt, to see where it is going, because this time next year we could be talking about European football back at Wrexham via the women, which is, I remember Gemma Owen said that years ago, that the plan was always to bring European football back here. So they're well on their way to doing that.
Yeah, I think we'd all very much love to see that. And on this international week, it would be loathers not to mention the Wales result yesterday, which was a 1-0 win over Liechtenstein, courtesy of a goal from Leicester's Jordan James. Could have been Wrexham, but no, sadly not. Wasn't exactly a sparkling performance. Tim, does that matter too much though? How are you feeling about that?
I'm glad I didn't go in the end. Obviously, I goes to most of the games, and I just left it too late to kind of make my plans to go. And yeah, it was a great turnout, like 3,000 Wales fans turning into a home game. Deserved a lot better than a sketchy 1-0 win against that group's whipping boys by some distance. And it is possible to do it, to achieve qualification automatically, but then you're asking Liechtenstein to do the impossible and go to Belgium on Tuesday and beat them. It's not going to happen. So playoffs is the obvious route. Still need to win against North Macedonia to get a favourable draw in that side of things.
Do you reckon
But
that's possible? Is that can they beat Macedonia without Ampdu and without Jordan James?
It's a stretch, because North Macedonia are no mugs. I went there; they were a very, very astute team. But it will quieten down the restless Cardiff fans who you would swear that Ruben Colwell's the next Lionel Messi, the way they're going about him. But he definitely deserves his chance now, so he should start probably. But it's a weird one, really, because the early signs into Bellamy were so encouraging, like the change in the style of play after the sort of the dullness of the Rob Page era. It was exciting, and Bellamy's a breath of fresh air in his press conferences, but that doesn't matter unless you continue to deliver. And it's the performance levels have dropped off. We're just getting a bit attritional and sluggish again, and to eke out a 1-0 win, yes, it's a win, and it is what it is, but it really should be putting teams like that to the sword a little bit more and controlling that game better than maybe what we did. But the thing I fear with Bellamy and Wales is maybe a similar thing to what might happen with Parky, which Andy will tell me that I'm talking out my arse in a minute. That is there a plan B if there is no Kiefer Moore involved? I mean, the jury's out on that, because we've yet to see a sustained period of time without Kiefer Moore for Wrexham. But I mean, that game in Liechtenstein was made for him. It was made for him, the amount of crosses coming into the box. I mean, we just lacked that kind of grit up front and a target man, which he clearly is. So, a win's a win, but yeah, I think we've taken one leap forward and maybe two bigger steps back in recent games.
Yeah, definitely. Fingers crossed. I mean, qualification, it looks highly possible, albeit like you say, North Macedonia are no mugs, and I just don't want to end up in the situation where you're heading via the playoffs, because that's just a total lottery. So we'll see how we go there. Into the thick of it now. As I said, 15 games into the season. It has come around really fast. It doesn't feel like we're a third of the way through the season. I don't know if it's because of the breaks or whatnot, but thought what we'd do is, if we're going to sort of go through the players who've actually had a good number of outings, sort of grade them, go through each of them, and then at the end of it, we'll sort of grade the team and the management as a whole. So yeah, we're in 13th place as it stands, 15 games in. Tim, do you want to lead us through the goalkeepers, and Moz can chip in, and we'll see where we think they're at?
Oh, goalkeepers. Well, let's start with Danny Ward, because let's start with him, because he started the season. My claim to lame is that I said that he was that Parky was gonna start him. It's lo and behold, he does. And I thought he had a very, very good game at Southampton, and yeah, gets injured at Millwall. Was it Millwall? Wasn't it? I think he did his elbow. Uh, so we can't really judge him in that sense. I just think he's been massively, massively unfortunate, and in a similar thing as Coady, he's like, I don't see where Danny Ward gets back into this team, which is a mad thing to say. But is it that mad when you look at the form that Arthur is in, and Callum Burton has he played one game so far? I want to say off the top of my head, it's just the one game in the Carabao, was it? I can't remember now. Just decent, just very dependable keeper, very dependable goalkeeper. So Wardy, I'd yeah, I'm not going to rate him. I'm not going to say anything like that in terms of giving him an overall mark. I just think he's been massively unlucky, and I just don't see where he now fits in going forward. Arthur, it's just it's just getting better, isn't he? Every week getting better and better, but getting more confident in the way he carries himself, the way he conducts himself, the way he speaks, in the press conferences and stuff. I think he's just. I mean, maybe it's a bit difficult when you kind of you up sticks, you leave the big smoke of London, you come out here. Initially, it was the loan, then signed permanently. I think he's settled now. I don't know where he's living or whatever, but I think he's just settled and he's loving the entire environment around the club. So, him and Burton, it's just you can intermix them as and when. But yeah, the Wardy thing is, I'm gutted for him. I'm gutted for him. And somebody sent me a picture of him recently, a couple of weeks ago, and he's so skinny because obviously he's not been able to do much, if any, upper body work, in the gym because of his elbow. So he just looks like completely different, to be honest. It's like there was nothing of him anyway. But he's lost weight. He's definitely lost a bit of muscle definition up top, and yeah. So that's where we're at with that. I think I'll be amazed if anybody else can says differently in regards to that. But let's go around, Mozza. What's your take on it all?
No, I've got it as well for Wardy, because I felt he was brought in to be the 7.5 out of 10 goalkeeper, just really dependable. May not pull off the unbelievable saves to win you a game once in a while, but will not make very many mistakes in there as well. And his kicking was a huge part of him coming in as well. And it's just unfortunate that he gets injured. And I think Arthur coming then back in, I think he's been able to then go, well, I'm playing every week. So the motivation for him is that regular games, if he has a bad one, it won't matter because he'll play the next week more than likely. And he's just gone from strength to strength for me. He's made a couple of really important saves, which has given him the confidence. But that playing regularly, and I bet it hit him hard, being not left out of that first game. And he'd have been expecting at the back end of last season that he'd be the number one again here this season because he played so well. And that would have knocked him, I think, a little bit. And it did. I think a few of his performances weren't up to where he was at the back end of last season. But because of this injury, and now he is the number one, I think that confidence is just coming back in droves. And he's been excellent. The last two games has been absolutely sensational. And so long may it continue.
Did you think? I know you said then about he's almost guaranteed to be starting week in, week out. I think irrespective of that, you could allow complacency to creep into your game. I don't think he's done that. I don't think he would allow that to happen because he knows full well, you started Wardy, and if he does get up to speed and he is in and around the mixer towards the tail end of the season, I know that's worlds away, but I like the fact Arthur doesn't really think about that complacency aspect. It's like, I've got to earn my spot week in, week out, and he's literally now the first name on the team sheet, 100%.
Yeah, I think Cal Burton is certainly helping in that as well because he knows that he's got another decent keeper behind him. So it's not like it's a kid behind him pushing him as when he was number two. He is a proper goalkeeper that can play in the Championship, is Cal. And so he'll be pushing him just as much. And so I think the pressure is on with that. I meant that he knows that he's going to be in the team if he's doing all right, more than likely. That confidence has oozed through his performances in the last couple.
Yeah. Early player of the season contender, Liam?
For Arthur, I mean, the way he's grown into it's been pretty impressive. Like I think I feel like people were like too eager to write him off early on in the season. There were one or two, maybe shaky moments, but we'll get on to Max in a minute. But Arthur's one of those players who's still fairly young. He's not even in his prime for a goalkeeper yet, and yet he's kept a ridiculous amount of clean sheets for us. In fact, I think I saw since he joined, he's got the most league clean sheets out of anyone in the top 4 divisions. So, that's pretty impressive stat. So I don't think it's any surprise that he started off. Not necessarily. I don't even think he was. I don't think you could call him terrible or anything like that. There were just 1 or 2 occasions where he looked uncertain about coming out for things, but he looks like he's growing with confidence every game. And when he makes saves like the one he did against Charlton, you remember what a difference maker he is. That's a difference between 3 points and a really great end to that sequence of games, and dropping points and being disappointed. So. I mean, I'm interested. I mean, Andy G, I don't know what you think. I'm trying. How do we nail down a score for Arthur? Because he's probably the most meaningful one in terms of the keepers that we could try and give him a grading for the season so far.
All right. I mean, I would say C for when he first came in, and I would say A for the last couple of games. And I think he is now believes in his head that he's a championship keeper. Because let's be honest, he's not played at this level before, and there was a pivotal moment for him a couple about 6 weeks ago where things did look like they were going wrong. The pressure was mounting on him a little bit. People were saying that he should have been swapped for Burton. Well, to be honest, he's come through that, and he's come through with aplomb, and he's getting better and better. He's got all the raw materials to be a fantastic goalkeeper for us for 10, 15 years and really grow, and take us where we want to go as a team. I just think he's got all the raw materials. He's big, he's a good shot stopper. If he can come off his line and be a bit more sort of commanding there, and then and his kicking to improve, then we've got a fantastic keeper who will be around for a very long time. So if we're looking at a C at the start and then an A now, are we looking at a B?
I'd be happy with that. I think. What do you reckon, Mozza?
Yeah, I think a B plus. I think because of the way that he's played the last 3 or 4, and I think that is just with the rhythm of games of playing. And so I'd go B plus.
Yeah, I think we're all mostly happy with that. You happy with that, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, without sounding too woke, I'm assuming that this grading system still exists in today's schools and universities, not something that's going to be lost.
Is he a 7?
The kids, people listening to this go, what are they talking about? B's and C's and shit like that.
Look, we're very up to date and in tune with the kids, so let's just go with it. Andy, do you want to take us through the defence?
Yeah. So, Mozza, I'm going to take you through the defenders that I think are in the A category first. And I think Donheim, since he's come in, has been fantastic. I'd like to put him there. But Clearworth. Now, the reason I want to put him quite high, and maybe he is a B plus, a B. The reason I want to put him there is, again, he's stepped up, hasn't he? He's stepped up another division. And he's come from non-league with us. It's very, very surprising. There's only one player, the Luton lad, Ruddock, who went through every division. I mean, Max, there's a potential that he could do that with us. So, he does have his odd bad game, but when he does, he learns from it and he's better again. So while Heim is an A, how do you think about a B plus for Max, just for how he's sort of taken to the Championship?
Well, I would, I think Hyam going off him first has been brilliant, and the stats will back that up with we've only conceded 9 in the last 9 games, or 10, 7 in 9, 9 goals in 10 games in the league, that is, and he's been pivotal to that improvement, which I think has helped Arthur as well, at the back, because he's obviously going to benefit from the defence in front being better. But Donheim playing 2 positions as well. We knew what we were getting when he came in. He was very, very under the radar, but he's definitely like a 7, 8 out of 10 every week. He very rarely drops below that, and that is what Phil Parkinson loves, and it's what every defence needs. And I think he's been outstanding, especially when he's had Brunt and Max next to him, 2 young kids really in the Championship and tested at this level. He's sort of marshalled them through, if you like, and helped them massively. And I think he's helped Max massively. I think Max is right in there. He's played every minute of every league game, and I think before last weekend there was only 18 players in the league that have done that. So he is. I thought it's been brilliant. I think he's been brilliant to make that step up, to make the 3 steps up in three different years. it is hard enough. But to go again in the Championship, I think he's been excellent. And like you say, I think the really important bit is that if he does have a little bit of a test one week, then he learns from that and puts it in, and he puts it in straight away to rectify it. I'd probably go A- for Max, because I think it's only a couple of
throwing in all these pluses and minuses.
Is a B+ the same as an A-? I think A- is higher than a B+.
Why didn't we just start going out of 10?
No,
we're in. We're in.
Well,
the
I'm
grading
currently trying to put a graphic together. I'm trying to get a university mortarboard atop Moz's head. So I'm working on that at the moment. That's why I'm looking away.
Yeah. A 2-2
right.
or a first? No. I think Max has been excellent, and to play every minute of a step up, I think you've got to give him. I would go A-. And he's now also getting to grips with Issa Kabore, a regular starter outside of him, and that combination that he had with Ryan Barnett before, you're starting to see that develop as well, which is him moving forward and getting involved in attacks as well.
All right, next one for me in the levels, if we're sort of going down. I mean, Dan Scarr, yeah, he's limited. You know what you're going to get from him. He's going to head everything away. He's going to sit in the middle, and he's going to be a wall to get past. So, he's not your rangy passing defender like Conor Coady might be with those raking balls, but he is a brick wall. I would say an easy B, because since he's come in, I don't think he's really put a foot wrong, and I think he's actually proved a lot of people wrong that he can play at this level and thrive. So well done to Dan Scarr on that.
Yeah, I think Phil Price was delighted with Dan Scarr because he was peripheral and possibly going to be peripheral for a lot of the season, and Dan probably thought that and thought about leaving in the summer, but he ends up staying. And what he's done is he's shown an unbelievable attitude to training and the games that he has been called upon and played in. He's done well, and when that opportunity's arisen, as a manager, you want your player to take the opportunity that comes to you, and he's certainly done that in the 3 or 4 games that he's played. Like you say, he's body on the line, he's all in with you, and he's stopped blocked so many crosses in that Portsmouth game, especially the balls coming in the box. It was just him against Murphy really, and clearing his lines. I think we're possibly 5 yards deeper than we normally are when he plays in our team. Whether he's worried about pace and stuff, I think we just drop a little bit, which creates a bit of a bigger problem in front of us. But if he's going to stop the ball going in our net, then we deal with it and we work that out.
Right. I want to go to where I see the C's really. Brunt probably hasn't played a lot of games. I think he again has, like Arthur, he's got the potential to be a very good player. I think he's got all the raw materials. Doyle, have we seen the best of Doyle? I know he was sent off, hasn't really played since. I mean, he came as the sort of big money centre back. Have we really seen the best of him yet? Is there more to come from him?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've seen a lot about him, and we've seen bits of him with his forward passing and that ability he has on his left hand side to just find a pass in front of him and be really proactive. I think that would help the team a lot. I could see in the Charlton game actually when Don Hine plays out on that left hand side, they were pressing him so that he was going up on his weaker foot on that left hand side as their sort of plan of how they were going to defend, if you like, with the way we set up our attacks. So having him on that side, you can't do that because he's just too good with the ball. I just think he's been still probably chasing his tail a little bit from not having a great pre-season and a full pre-season, and he's just been dumped in the team, played a couple, come out at a couple of niggles. I just think, again, he's another one that when he gets his opportunity, he's got to take it and not get sent off like he did. And then just if he gets a run of 5-6 games in the team and starting, confidence, etc., will grow, and we'll really see what type of a player we've got, because I think he is excellent, and from what people have said from the teams he's played with, he's got a very good player on our hands.
Yeah, and finally, I know we've talked about him, Conor Coady. Are we looking at a D there?
At the moment, it's not been great for him, but yeah, we don't really know what sort of a say he's having behind the scenes as well. In that how the defenders are taking. And you can see his disappointment when he's been told on the pitch before the game whether he's in the squad or not, or in the getting changed or whatever. Very disappointed, but hey, never say never, and we may be needed at some point, and hopefully he'll have the same attitude as Dan Scarr did.
I just want to bring Tim and Liam in on this. Any of those? Firstly, Tim, any of those marks that you think are wrong? And secondly, do we feel that the back three with the most potential going forward is going to be Doyle, Cleworth, and Heim?
Yeah, I mean, I'm struggling to look past it really, because Hyam has been ridiculously good. Like, people talk about Mike James and stuff as a Rolls Royce player in midfield, but we've got that with Hyam in defence. Just somebody who just goes about their business, unfussy, gets on with it, doesn't do anything outrageous, doesn't do anything flash. He just does what you want your defenders to do. If you go back to the likes of Crichton and Manny Smith of yesteryear, just no nonsense. Just get it gone. Get it down there. Don't fuck around with it. So big fan of him. Max, like, I'm a massive Max fan as well. I think there's been a couple of occasions, I can't remember which game it was, where he struggled a little bit. But for the most part, he's usually a solid 8 out of 10, isn't he? For the most part, every week in, week out. And he just works on various, and he's just an athlete. He's an athlete. And the fact he was getting into goal scoring positions again, like he was against Charlton, where he nearly scored early doors, just great. Love to see him pitching a few more goals. We saw that last season, back end of last season, where he was just coming up and getting on the end of things. So, jury's still out for me on Doyle. I'll be honest. I agree with Andy what he said, especially I think it was his debut was against Preston in the Carabao, and he's just knocking those balls in through the channels and just looking all the time to get somebody in on goal. So I like the look of him, and again, it's just been a little bit disjointed, Dave, from what Andy said about the sort of lack of a full proper pre-season, and then obviously he goes and gets sent off. So he's had that sort of in the side then out, and then trying to get a run of games. And you don't be Man City and insert a buyback clause if you don't rate somebody. So we have to look at it from that point of view. I can very well say that Pep and a few of his disciples will have final say and stuff like that. So yeah, I've absolutely no doubt that he will definitely come good. As for Coady, F.
Whoa, I told you he hates him. I told you, lads.
No, no, I'm not going to fight him. He would. He's a proper street slugger. Him. No, I'll stick with what you get. I'll stick with what you give him. But I don't know. Like I said, Southampton, he was really, really good, and
yeah,
it's just he just had that shit game, and then he had another shit game against Cardiff. And when you have a shit game against Cardiff, it's almost unforgivable. But then those who were given a second chance then showed, what they were capable of against Coventry, and obviously he didn't feature. So there we are.
Yeah, no major arguments from me on the grades. I'd maybe put Max as a B just because I think he's still got room to really step up a gear. But in terms of how he's worked his way in and got himself comfortable, I've been really impressed. So yeah, no major arguments from me. Moving into the wing backs area, which the first player I'm going to mention, Issa Kabore, what a cult hero he is fast becoming. Although we understand that he came off injured for Burkina Faso during the international break. So
Faso.
I know, I've never heard it say like that.
Burkina Faso.
I'm pretending I've got some sort of
is it?
insight, but I think you can basically put that down to mispronunciation.
Burkina Faso.
Yeah. Faso.
I thought all these years I've been calling it Burkina Faso, and it's Faso.
I think you're probably right, to be honest. But yeah, a bit of a blow. I mean, we'll see how serious that injury is. Hopefully, it's nothing too big. I'm really interested, Mozza, in where, before I come in with my view on how he's doing and sort of grading, where you think he's at so far, because he's a player that I think he's got like flashes of brilliance and then occasionally reminds you he's human, but overall he's been one that fans really get excited about.
Yeah, I really rate him. I really like him, and that's not just because of the way that he goes forward. It's because of the way he goes back towards his own goal as well to get back and defend. I think he's got a good attitude to that. If he loses it, he sprints back and tries to get it back, which is again perfect for that role. He's got a little bit of skill. I thought maybe the one game, Portsmouth away, he wasn't up to his normal usual standards. But just sort of that first pass that he had there, it went wrong, and he never really recovered from that. But if your first action goes well, I think he's been great. Certainly added another dimension to us down that side. He's not as good a crosser at the moment that I've seen as Longman and Barnett at the moment, but what he does do is he goes past people at ease, and that pace, just everybody has to double up on him, and so that sort of creates a space for others. I'd go A- at the moment, and looking forward to seeing him for a whole season, because he's got potential of being player of the year already, I think.
Yeah, I had him down B+, but I think you're basically talking about a paper thin gap there in between. Yeah. In between, I also just like his general character. Like I don't know if you've seen on some of the Triple A's, just the way he seems to be around the place, around the changing room. The players seem to love him. Parky's always giving him a big hug whenever they're going down the tunnel. I get the impression he's a player that's quite key to the way we play, because you need those wing backs on both sides really getting up and down. I do think it's one of the hardest roles in terms, your wing backs, what's expected of them now, especially at this level, to be able to get up and down the pitch like that is no mean feat, is it?
No, absolutely, and he's so athletic. It's a joke, and I think he's the first one of this new crop that we've had this year that the fans have really felt they've got a little link with now. I think Kiefer, yes, obviously with the Wales connection and stuff, and him scoring goals, obviously, and we'll get to him in a bit. But I think he's the one, you can see him pumping up the crowd at times and getting them going and stuff. And I think he's the one that's breaking those barriers down, that we've felt that we don't really know if this team is in it for the same reasons as we've been in it for so long, if you like, as a fan's point of view. But I think he's the one that's smashing those doors down and saying, no, we're here for the right reasons, and we want to go on this journey with you lot as well. So long may it continue for him.
How are you feeling about Barnett this season? Sort of, I think, did he start off a couple of the early games, or he's certainly featured it a bit? I don't know about you, but for me, just looks like he's hasn't got that. I feel like he's very much a confidence player, and when he's at it, he's really good, but haven't necessarily seen that as much from him this season so far.
Yeah, I just don't think we've had the opportunity to see him enough really this year. Obviously, Longman's played as well when Cabore's not. So, and Longman's got that versatility of being able to play both sides. So, we've obviously seen some brilliant games from Barney, and his assists are a joke. And as a striker, his crossing is something to behold. And I think if you listen to Stephen Fletcher when he was talking literally last week, I think it was, he was saying that when Barney got it, I just turned my back and just went out to the back post because I knew it was coming in a couple of seconds to exact that point. I think he's a brilliant player to have around, because he's going to be, if you need somebody to come on and create something, maybe go past somebody and cross it and put it on a plate for a striker. I think we've got that in him. It's just, I think his opportunities, unfortunately, are going to be limited with making the steps up. Football's mad, isn't it? It's the only game that you strive to get promoted, and you're possibly putting yourself out of a role. So hopefully we'll see a little bit more of him, moving forward.
Yeah, I had him down as about a C, but just purely by virtue of the fact that we just haven't seen him a great deal of him, so it's quite hard to judge. I mean, the left side's been a fascinating one. Starting with, I think we started with the first game with. Did we have Kakashi start the first game?
Played. Yeah, he played. Yeah, but got injured in that first game.
Yeah, been in and out a bit. Had McLean a couple of times, but then he's really drifted out the team. And then I want to say that Longman's probably made the most appearances at left wing back for us. But I just wanted to start off with.
Sorry, on Longman, do you think Longman gets a bad rep because he's in on the left, and he's cutting back a bit, and and he's sort of cutting inside, and people are getting a bit frustrated because he seems to be slowing down attacks. But to be honest, it's not his natural position. But isn't it great that you've got someone who can play both sides to a championship level?
Yeah, and he'll be delighted that anywhere he plays, he'll play. Do you know what I mean? At the moment, you want to be in the team, and whether it's left or right for him, I'm sure he's thinking, I just want game time. Do you know what I mean? I just want to be involved in this team. And whether it's left or right, and it just seems that Kache can't just keep himself fit for any number of a run of games at the moment. He's obviously shown his qualities, but what Longman does, he gives you everything, and he can create something from nothing. And I think he's probably preferred maybe cutting in as well, and he's had a few more shots than he probably has done on the right hand side when he plays that one. But like you say, we've got 4, 5 with McLean as well, 5 players for those 2 spots, and you could stick any of them in there for a game, I think, and you wouldn't really lose a great deal. But I think the main 2 of Kache and Coady, they're the 2. If we can play them 2 for a long stint of the season, then I think we'll be all right, because those positions are so important for us.
Yeah, I think those 2 as starters. I mean, albeit with Kache, it's a very small sample size, but I wouldn't put him quite as high as Coady, just because we haven't seen him that much. But I'd probably put him about a B in terms of what we have seen. It's just that the hardest bit has just been, having him available. And I don't think that's really been an issue much in his career. Certainly not the last couple of seasons, from what I've seen, from his past record. So we just
yeah, no, exactly that. We just want to try and keep it fit, and he just keeps breaking down with only minor niggles and stuff. It's not major stuff, hopefully. And yeah, he'll hopefully had a couple of weeks now that he could have rested up and recuperated, and hopefully he's back fully fit, and we can get that run up to Christmas where him and Coady are playing. But that position takes so much out of you. You're going to need all 5 of them at times to get and maintain those standards of that they need to win games in this league. And so bringing a Longman and a Barnett on is, it's not a horror when you turn around to look at your bench and and you see, Declan Walker sat there, and you're like, oh, that's not really a replacement for what I've got on the pitch at the minute.
Oh, you've been mean to young Trigger.
Nah, sorry, no, that was just a name that popped in my head.
No, I know what you mean though. Yeah. McLean's an interesting one. I just wanted to talk about very quickly. I feel like there's been it's hard to tell what actually goes on, behind the scenes in the changing room. But I mean, he's admitted himself recently that he's not happy not playing. I mean, that's pretty natural for a professional, I would imagine, not being happy to not be playing. But do you think he's one who's almost sort of played himself out of a place in the squad by virtue of us getting promoted constantly, and he's advancing now in years in his career? Do you think we'll see him for much longer?
Not too sure. It probably brings a lot to the changing room, I would have thought, behind the scenes. But yeah, I thought he was better in League One than he was in League Two. I thought he really stepped up last year.
I completely agree on that. I completely agree. Yeah.
Well, whether that's opposition or I don't know, but he just looked a lot fitter. He didn't dive in as much as he was doing, I felt, in the league below. But yeah, we've got 5 players for 2 positions. That's very difficult to get players in. What he gives you is that left foot, obviously, and the delivery from that side if Kache doesn't play. But again, if you can keep Kache and Coady fit, then his time is going to be limited. And when you get to his age, you want to play as many games as you can, because you know that's going to be limited coming up to the end of your career. So whether he sees it and views it and thinks, well, I'm just going to go and play somewhere else, I don't know. Or do I stay around and hope that I get an injury and I can get back in this team? It's a really tough one.
Yeah, I think Andy G's put him down as an F, haven't you, for McLean? Is that right?
He's expelled him.
Yeah. Yeah, expelled for fighting me.
I think he'll end up I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up going back to Derry, playing for Derry, rounding it off. Obviously, I think the gym that he fights out of a lot, boxing wise, is that way as well. So I said this to Andy a few days ago. So it doesn't matter what happens with McLean now. He's a kind of modern day Wrexham legend, really, in terms of what he's achieved. Kind of the perfect player for at the perfect time for us, really. And I dare say, once he looks back on his very, very, very long and celebrated playing career, he'll probably say, I think he already has, been saying that this is probably the most enjoyable one he's had, which is kind of testament to Parky and the owners and the environment they've created. It's easy to have a winning mentality, but you've got to have all the things in place, haven't you, to make you want to come to work and love it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Everyone happy with that? Any arguments?
No,
sort of
I
against
think
ratings and whatnot.
No, I think that's right. I'll give Kakache an F for injuries, but I think he's an A player. I do. I think there's a real good player there, and the fact that we own a player of that.
You just want free pasta. You want free pasta from his dad's place.
No, I think he's a cracking player, and I also like the perm. I mean,
is it a perm? It's not a perm.
I saw him and Sam Smith comparing haircuts in the tunnel on one of the AAA videos. I think Kakachi actually reached out and touched Smith's. He was like, "Oh, is that real?" I think they've got a bit of competition there in the hair stakes.
You're not going to beat Kiefer for hair. So that's a fact.
Right, should we crack on with midfielders? Tim, do you want to take
midfielders? I'm going to go in reverse order to what's on the list here, and just to sort of clear up 2 1 go really. So Ollie Rathbone, last season's Player of the Year, and Elliot Lee. So you've got one who's just returned from a long-term injury, and you've got another who's now being operated on, which is probably going to keep him out for some while. I think Elliot's a knee injury, isn't it? I think he's had surgery for. Andy, where do you see this for both these players now? Because you kind of feel that with Rathbone, he has to be given time, because obviously he sort of started against Cardiff, which in hindsight probably not the right thing to do. I think maybe you give him 10 minutes off the bench towards the end, but starting him was a big risk that didn't pay off. But obviously clearly a very, very good player from what he gave us last season. So I think time is on his side in that regard. Conversely, is time against Elliot Lee at Wrexham? I'd probably say yes. In terms of where he is, and again, where does he fit in? Because when we go for the rest of these other names in a minute, it's the common theme of having 3 or 4 players ahead of you.
Yeah, very, very difficult. I think Rathbone is a simple one. We've just got to get him fit, but I just don't know when he plays games to get that. We don't seem to have many behind closed doors or friendlies for any reserve players that are not playing. Or if we do, it's only one in a while. We don't have regular stuff that players can put themselves forward and get themselves match fit. But if we can get him fit, then I think he would be a good addition to our midfield group that we've got. We'll speak about Dobson, I'm sure, but how well he's done with the step.
How do you solve that conundrum then, Andy? If you're the manager and you've got last season's player of the season coming back from injury, but there is a distinct lack of availability in terms of playing games behind closed doors, what's the solution?
Well, its training load has got to be as high as you possibly can get it without him breaking down again. But I think they probably might be looking at January, maybe a month away. I don't know if that's something that they may look at to get him some game time somewhere. But he'll be training as hard as he can to try and get back in the team. It's just you're playing catch up, and then you get an opportunity like he did in the Cardiff game, and it's like everyone else around you is struggling as well in that same game, and it's like that just doesn't help, does it? Your progression, if you like, the minutes will be brilliant, but he needs to play, and I would have him in my. If we're playing a 3 midfield, we need 6 midfielders. It'd be definitely in one of those 6, and he'd want a player to just chuck on for 10 minutes at the end if you need one just to run around and harry and G everybody up. But yeah, it's unfair to write him off, because Player of the Year, you don't get that accolade if you're not great, and he has played Championship football as well, so he obviously can play the level as well.
That's for Elliot.
Yeah, well, I think he's actually played quite well in the cup games that he played in. Reading, he was good. Preston away, he was really good. Again, it's just going to be opportunities that you're going to play him ahead of, other players that we've got that you're going to list in a bit. I can't see him forcing his way in, and it's so sad, because he'd have probably said this season that I'll give it a go, and I want to give it a go, and if I want an opportunity to play at this level. But he's just not had that in any of the games at all, because he's got other players ahead of him. And when that comes, I think he'll probably be looking and going, he's not getting any younger either. He'll want to play football. And if it's not going to be here, sometimes like we've had with Mullin, I've got to make a really tough decision to go and play some football somewhere.
Yeah. Any before I move on to the others, any advance on Elliot Lee, Liam, Andy, in terms of where you see him? It just feels like it's the old guard splitting up, isn't it? The Mullins, the Palmers of the world, and Elliot's like one of those that is probably next to depart at some point in the near future.
Yeah,
I think totally. No, I mean, I was doing this BBC, this really annoying BBC quiz, which was every goal scorer for Wrexham since the takeover. They did it from November 2020, I think. And you had sort of Mullin, Palmer, Lee in that, sort of top list, and they're all going now, which is hard to take in some ways. But I do think Lee is probably will potentially be the next one out of that lot who does go, which is a shame because he's contributed so much, and like Moz said, he has offered something in the cup games, but we are where we are in terms of the players. I think you've got two players sort of ahead of where he might have played in the team in terms of your likes of Windass and Broadhead.
Matty James. At the start of the season, I would have put him in the sort of bracket of very unlikely not to get many minutes. And to be honest, he has literally been a game changer at times this season, where he's just come on and just took the game by the scruff of the neck, offered more control. Kind of maybe it's a bit of an obvious call, Mozza, but kind of shades of Fergie with like the kind of old head, just knows the game, is already spotting the pass, before anybody else has noticed it. I love that. I just think obviously not going to play week in, week out, but I think he has to be in that squad. He has to be in that squad week in, week out at distance because of what he brings to the table.
Yeah. I spoke to him at the end of last season, and he was buzzing off the season that we'd had last year, and he was a huge part of that, and he was really important at times when he came in. I think the positional change or the formation change we've had sometimes this year with the double pivot and him and Hyam, in that midfield has helped him play, because you don't need as many legs if you're the one on your own, then you've got a lot of ground to cover. And I think that's where we sort of went wrong at the early part of the season, because they were getting into those little channels a little bit too easily. But just changing that has helped massively, and put two in there. One's shored us up, but two, then he can make the team tick from there. And they've been. I think he's been excellent. He came on in the Leicester game, really changed it at Leicester, and I know there's a bit of a history to him at Leicester because he's very well liked there. But that still doesn't stop you from coming on and changing the game in Wrexham's favour, and probably should have won that at the end. I think he's been really good, and like you say, I think it's really important that he stays fit and he's a part of this team, because he does bring that when he does come on. He brings control for our team rather than it just constantly being shelled everywhere.
George Dobson. George, I've taken to the Championship like a duck to water. Dobson. I mean, I think I never thought about this a while back, but now it makes sense when people say, well, sometimes some players are just better at a higher level because that's where they belong. And I think Dobson's been absolutely ridiculously good for us this season, not just because of his output and his work rate, but his overall contribution to the game. Everything as a complete midfielder, he's kind of like a tough act to beat, really, at the moment. His overall game is just tremendous. The only thing I would say needs to add in is maybe a few more goals, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'd give him an A. Because I think he's made the step up, and what I like about it is that I don't think any Wrexham fan would have had him in the starting 11. When we've had all these players come in, I don't think anybody would have put him in there out of the midfielders that we've got, and he's proved everybody wrong. One, he looks fit, looks hungry to be desperate to play at this level. He looks like he's got better on the ball, though. He looks a lot more composed. He looks like he's doing things quicker, and maybe that you have to think a bit quicker, and he's got that ability to do it. And and he's certainly showing it. He's tackling, he's everywhere, he's covering every blade of grass. He's so fit, and he's playing with a smile on his face as well, which is when we've spoke to him a couple of times match day live, and he's coming over and he just looks like he's genuinely enjoying playing and being a part of this group moving forward. And he'll be delighted with this the start of the season. And he's one of the top 3 for me and for the player of the year at the minute.
Did you ever have your hair like that during your playing career, Andy?
What hair? What? Yeah.
I couldn't remember how long you ever had it. I was like, I'm sure you had it like to ear length.
I had a bit here, but that was about it. It was soon came off.
I thought you said you had a beard. I don't remember you with a beard.
I know, just on the front. I like Brian Carey used to take the mick out of me for having an island on the front, so it had to come off.
We didn't give James a grading actually. So you've gone A for Dobson. What are you giving James before we move on?
I'd go a B.
Wow.
For James, B+. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's been that good.
Ben Sheaf. Yeah. Where'd you stand on that? I mean, again, just a very, very, very cultured player. I can't remember which game it was now. Which was it where he put some mad pass? I can't remember which game it was now.
He played very well against Coventry.
Yeah, it was Norwich. It was that amazing crossfield pass. Great ball. That's
zinged it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And he did have a good game against Coventry as well. There's a lot of but again, he come with a bit of a history with injury prone, supposedly this, that, and the other. But again, I think on the whole, he's contributed really well. I mean, he's a starter at the moment, Andy, like a certain start going forward.
Yeah, at the minute he's just struggling to maybe finish games as well, isn't he? Because we're just trying to catch up his minutes from, again, maybe a poorer pre-season and him coming in late on deadline day. I was really looking forward to him in our team because I know from watching Cov what he can produce and what he can do. And when we signed him, a lot of the people I know were saying, "Wow, that's a great sign if you can keep him fit." And we're just managing his minutes at the minute, but technically very, very good. And these players are experienced that, like Matty, it's no fluke that the ball always falls to them. Do you know? And when they're picking up second balls, they just know where to be on a pitch, which is excellent. You know, and that we get it back, especially if we're playing a little bit longer into Kiefer. We were able to get the ball back and play higher up the pitch, and so I think he's got a huge future for us. Tall, good size, because that's what Parky likes as well in both boxes, and great technically with his feet. And what he does is I like first thought is, can I play forward? Can I play into my strikers or my 10 or whatever we're playing ahead of us, or can I play into our wing backs but be really positive with my passing? And he's again, if we can get him fit, fully fit, 90-minute fit, then we've got a player on our hands. And I'd go maybe a B again for Ben.
Nice. Anybody any advances on B or downgrades?
No, I don't think so. Sheaf, when we've seen him again, it's one of those, like Andy says, get him through the 90 minutes will be when we can really see what he is. But I think from what we've seen so far, you can't really, I couldn't mark him any lower than a B whatsoever.
So it brings me to the final two midfielders before we move into the strikers and start wrapping things up. Lewis O'Brien, just very, very good. Again, I think for the most part, very good.
Yeah.
Yes. There's been a few dips.
I wish he could bloody finish like Morrell.
Well, this is the thing. Like overall, very good. But again, the spotlight has shone on his what feels like many one-to-ones. And he's like, I'll just do a Shea Adams and take an extra touch where I don't need it, or I'll pass it back to somebody that might not be there. Or so it just lacks that little bit of composure. I mean, he's not really known for his goal scoring prowess anyway. I mean, even when he was at Swansea, Nottingham Forest, wasn't exactly chipping in with a load of goals. So I'm not really sure what we're expecting. Maybe he's just like, oh shit, I'm in no man's land here. I'm not used to being in this position. So, but that would come good though, wouldn't it, Andy? There's going to be a few more, and that will just come with confidence.
Yeah, I think the change when we went to the box midfield, he finds himself a bit more advanced than he probably would do in a 3, and we play with 2 strikers, and so him getting into those positions is brilliant. We definitely need that run, that third man running when we're playing in midfield. We've got to get somebody up or past Kiefer when they play, and he's found himself I think he's overthinking it. It's like when he's got that time to think about what he's going to do, it seems to go a little bit wrong. And I think it was the Portsmouth one for me. Like, he took a little touch, sat the keeper down, and I think he can just go maybe nick past the keeper, and he just plays it from underneath him, and it hits. It maybe just confidence, I think. Do you know what I mean? He scored a couple of goals already. I don't know why he would have a lack of confidence, but in those situations, you can see his frustration on that Portsmouth one of like, oh no, not again, because it's that opportunity that might win you the game.
Andy, can I ask something? Look, you sort of coach strikers. Is that something that you could take him to one side and coach him more? You know, how to be more confident in those situations. Is that something that a top level footballer can learn even at his age?
Yeah, because you can coach it, you can train it. You know, you could play him in to positions and get it. The problem with it is you need big space because of the areas that he's running from and getting into, and you need somebody that hopefully the keeper doesn't come out and muller him. You know what I mean? And get into or you're playing with the keeper and they go and nail each other. So it's not an easy one to teach. It's not an easy one to coach, but you can certainly put him in similar positions, maybe with a younger keeper, and just go, right, well, we're just going to play 5 through, just run onto them and just finish them. And he probably does finish them dead easily in training. It's just games, it seems to be just a little bit of an issue. But there's some of the other chances that he's had in the game that they're not necessarily one-on-ones. You know, they've been spin round and he's not been clinical enough in them. And I think maybe a bit of confidence in that when he gets one, maybe now it'll just take that weight off his shoulders, because people are sort of talking about it. It's sort of become a thing, and that's definitely what you don't want as a player.
But what is the University of Morrell sending him in the post on his grading paper?
I would definitely go a B, because what he's brought to this team is an energy and a verve, and he's taken over from Rathbone with setting off our press, and the pace that he goes at. He's quicker than you think, and he reads the game really well. That's what I thought Rathbone does. Where he thinks the ball's going, he nips in the other side and steals it off people. I think Lewis O'Brien's got that, and I'd definitely give him a B, because I think he's been right in the mix. It's good that these lads are, because Dobson's come out of the team for a couple of games just to freshen him up, because he's had such a big load for the first 10, 12 games. I think Lewis O'Brien is the same. Just take him out for a couple of games and throw him back in, and he'll go again.
And a word on George Thomason, last but by no means least on the midfielders. Had to bide his time.
Yeah, and not really seen enough of him, because the games that he's played, I was away, so I was watching from afar. But again, got energy. He had the shot from his own half at Norwich in the last couple of minutes, that you're thinking, well, that's confidence, from him coming in the team. I like him, young, again, energetic, left footer, which we like, because the balance is good with that. And again, I'm sure he'll want to be desperate to play a few more minutes than he's actually played so far. Injury again, do you know what I mean? It's just these niggles, it kills you, doesn't it?
Yeah, okay. We won't grade him.
No, let's move on to the strikers. I think bang on an A is Kiefer Moore. I think he's so vital to the way we play. I'm being surprised by how many minutes he's played. How effective he has surprised me. My only sort of thing is, do we have anyone to replace him? If this hamstring is quite a tough one, what do we do there? That's my sort of big fear about Kiefer. He's a victim of his own success.
Yeah, I'd go A, because of what he's brought to the team. It helps when you score early, and I know you've said that before, Andy. It's helpful when you get off and running, especially for a striker if you get a goal. But this manager and the way that he plays is absolutely made for Kiefer Moore to play and do well in this team, because it all relies on him heading them in from wide crosses, from holding the ball up when we play it out. Do you know what I mean? And so if he can't play well for us in this system, then he's going to struggle anywhere else. But he has done. He's grabbed that mantle with both hands and ran with it and scored early. Went a couple of games without, but then scored again against Cardiff, which I think was brilliant for us because then he scores the hat-trick after it. That just gave him the confidence to go again. And like you say, so important to the way we play. Have we got a replacement for him? I'm not a direct one, no.
So Windass will probably come to you next. It's been stop-start. I think the injury hasn't helped him, but when he plays, I mean, I think the example was Coventry, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, he put 3 brilliant balls exactly where Moore needed them, and that's the partnership we're probably looking to cultivate. That's probably the first choice partnership, and I think at the moment, from what he's given, a B maybe.
Yeah, I'd give him a B, probably a B plus as well when he's played, because I think he's taken the mantle of those shoulders, pinned back, come on then, bring it on, and and he has that about his play. Love his touch, his vision of seeing where other players are and around him. He can play up striker up next to Kiefer. He can drop in and play in that 10. He can play in wide, drops even deeper and gets the ball. I think he's a real asset. And the way we got him in the summer was a brilliant piece of business. And he'll chip in with goals. You've seen his penalties have been excellent, and his goals have been great. And he'll add more to that, I'm sure. And he'll be double figures hopefully by the end of the season minimum.
Yeah, I just love the way he takes penalties as well. It's like such a little run up, but he absolutely smashes that ball.
Yeah.
The great enigma is Nathan Broadhead, because even yesterday for Wales, his touch and the way he carries the ball is so good, and he was brilliant when he came on against Leicester. But you're trying to see where he fits into the team, and I wonder, is it more plus Windass and Broadhead, or could Moore and Broadhead work together? But you'd have to be a hell of a lot closer. He just dropped quite deep, doesn't he, to go looking for the ball.
Yeah, I think he's still coming to terms with a £7 million price tag. I think he's still coming to terms with that a little bit, but also the way that we play and the way that the gaffer wants him to play. I felt that when he scored the 2 in the cup, was it Reading?
Yeah.
I thought he just looked a completely different player after that. He looked like he was going the ball. His first touch was better. I felt he was having too many touches before he scored. It just laboured a little bit, and then he scores and everything becomes a little bit freer, a little bit easier, and it was great to see. And then it's just gone back maybe into that a little bit, and that comes with confidence of knowing that you're playing every week, and he doesn't at the moment, and he seems to be dropped in for 1, out for 2 when Windass is playing, and they seem to be vying for that spot at the moment. For me, he'll be a good signing, because at some point he's going to get a run of games in the team, and if he can show what he shows for Wales and what we know that he can produce for Ipswich, then we've got a hell of a player. You don't pay $7 million for rubbish. He will come good. It's hard because you've got to be patient and take his opportunity. When he does get 20 minutes, he's got to go and change the game and affect the game if he can, and that's the attitude he's probably used to just playing, and he's got a different role at the moment.
Yeah. Smith again.
Andy G, you haven't rated him.
Oh,
D, isn't it?
C. Room for improvement. D.
D for do better, but will do better in brackets.
Yeah.
He will do better.
B minus maybe.
Okay. So Smith really hasn't really had the minutes. He probably is the one they're looking to replace Moore if he does get injured. I mean, it's hard to rate him really, because it's tough out there, because Kiefer is by far the first choice, and even when he's coming on wasn't he against Oxford, didn't he have more shots than anyone else, even though he was only on for 10 minutes?
Yeah. And Hardy's the same as well, isn't it? It's like neither of them have been able to get a run because Kiefer's come in and been the main man and scored goals. My question to you boys would be, when we are struggling and we are saying 0-0 with 15 minutes to go, and we bring Sam Smith on, for example, I don't get the same feeling that he's going to come on and change it in our favour as much as I did when Stephen Fletcher came on. So my question would be, what would we have been any better in keeping Fletch for that role? And the way that he would be coming on in these games with 10 minutes, 15 minutes to go, the crowd, etc., the way that we all believed that he was going to do something which he normally did, would we have been better keeping somebody like that? Maybe not to start games, maybe Smith starts if Moore doesn't play, but that pivotal substitution role, I don't know. I just thought that he might bring a little bit of kick to the group and to the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, my only thing is it's stepping up again, isn't it?
Again, absolutely.
He's a year older. It's stepping up, and I wonder if Championship defenders may be a little bit more wily than League Two, League One. I mean, maybe they thought Rodriguez could play that role. Obviously, he's been absolutely KO'd by injury.
Yeah. Who?
Yeah.
I mean, psychologically, the Fletcher thing that was a real effect, a real impact. You talk about, like the super sub role. I don't think that I've seen better than Fletch, at Wrexham. So there's something to be said for it. I thought it was the right decision that Parky made at the time. But you're right in that sometimes you look to the bench and you think, right, who's coming on here to make the difference? We don't have that figurehead necessarily like Fletcher. It's definitely pause for thought. Yeah.
Well, that might be something that he looks to address in January.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look, if
imagine
you're saying,
him coming back, can you imagine him coming back in January? Fucking hell.
Jesus reborn.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, if you're looking at where the squad, where you do need that X factor player, it's up front, isn't it? And I think Andy, you're right. I think Smith comes in and he puts in a shift. He really does, but you're not sort of thinking either he or Broadhead are going to come on and completely change the game, really, at the moment. Right.
Yeah, and Smith will be fine. I think he is Championship striker, and I think if he got a run of games with whether it's with Moore or however you get him in the team, I think he's got a goal in him, and I think his athleticism and his work rate, he gets you in his team. It's just that it is that little bit of, if I'm making a sub, I want it to lift the crowd, and I want, come on, this is the belief that we're going to get a goal or we can get back in this game or whatever. And I don't know, it was just a thought I had, when we are bringing Sam Smith on for 10 minutes, and it's like it's been much of a muchness really, and it's not really given that crowd the kick and the belief that we are going to get back in the game.
Yeah, no, definitely. Can definitely see where you're coming from. Moving on to, I don't know whether we do an overall rating or just do we go for the main man? Because
I think we need to tie this up.
I suspect that the rating for the main man for Phil Parkinson would be very much similar for the team itself. I'm going to go out on a limb here and show what a fickle bastard I am by saying, if you'd asked me after the Cardiff game, I would have said C-, and I would have been all pissy and moany. But then after the last few league games, I'm B+. I'm all happy clappy again because I don't know. It's weird. You can read too much into body language and stuff like that. But I'd see him on the touchline, and I thought he'd lost a bit of the Parky fight, the Parky edge. And then I see him at full time after the Charlton game, and he's giving it to the big gun, to the Mold Roadster, and I think, yeah, that's the Parky I remember. The way he stuck his neck out because the way he handled things with the team selection, etc. against Cardiff, everyone was peed off over. And then on the Friday, you got the classic Parky reaction to a bad result, and you remember, oh Christ, why do I do this? Why do I get to that stage every time where I doubt him? And then he just comes and kicks you in the balls as if to say, oh right, you done that again, have you? Well, here's my response to that. So yeah, I'm pretty chuffed. I'm going B+. I would have taken 13th place, where we are now, every day of the week at this stage of the season. So all credit to the man and his staff and the team. So yeah, B+ from me.
He's having a well-earned break in Lanzarote as we speak.
Oh.
He was spotted having a run there this morning by a fan who couldn't believe his eyes when he saw Parky running towards him. Yeah, I mean, you can bookend the Cardiff thing as you won't find a stinkier performance this season. You'd be pushed to find a stinkier performance than that, regardless of it being them. It was just bad from start to finish. Simple. I love the fact that Parky's now the last man standing amongst all the Welsh clubs in the EFL that has yet to sack their manager. Cardiff have done it with Omar Reza. Swansea have done it twice this season. Newport have just got rid of their manager, David Hughes, who's a Wrexham lad. I love the fact that he's the last man standing, and I love the fact that certain podcasts listed him as the 24th worst manager in the division that they would like to have at their own team out of all.
Was that Rob Ryan Red?
Yeah, no.
Racecourse Rambo.
And I love the fact that there's. I don't love the fact that managers are getting sacked, but I love the fact that he's still there, and I love the fact that he's just picking off these managers one by one, and he's proven a lot of people wrong that said, "Well, this is his ceiling." And I know it's still early, but we are. This is the reason why we're doing this now is a quarterly report, and we're not a million miles away off the playoffs. With a drastic overhaul of a playing squad, whilst trying to balance that by saying farewell to some fans' favourites. Now, it's a lot. It's a lot to contend with. I hope he writes a book when all this is said and done. I hope he writes his book about all this because it'd be a fascinating read. A star. I don't care what anybody says. I'll happy clap all the way to the hills and back this man because 9 times out of 10, he will get it right. And as soon as there's defeat or 2 defeats, shit doesn't know what he's doing. It's classic wherever you are in the country. We win 2 or 3. We beat Coventry, handsomely and deservingly so. Best manager ever. We had that stinky win against a stinky loss against Cardiff. Get rid. So I just love the fact that he's still here. I love the fact that he's never in any of the betting lists for next Middlesbrough manager, next Swansea manager. He's never there because of the project at Wrexham. He's in a safe seat, relatively speaking. But why would you want to go anywhere else? He's putting his stamp on this thing time and time again. So, yeah, super Phil Parky. Parky Bowl of death.
Who's up next, Mr. Mozer?
I'd definitely go B plus A minus in there because of what he's had to deal with from the summer onwards. One, getting promoted out of League One when I don't think anybody really thought that we actually could do it, until really late on in the season, to then massive overhaul with huge names leaving that are club legends, if you like, and having to do that in a manner that fitted the way that we work. I think Phil Parkinson has been the best appointment by the Wrexham board, right from the start because of the way that he does manage. And that is, he has a style. He knows his style. He gets players to play his style. But not just that, he is a 7 out of 10 every week. And he doesn't get too excited when the furore is around him that we're playing so well. And he never, ever gets too down when things like the Cardiff game come along and bite you. And with all the documentary and all the furore that's around this Wrexham team and club at the moment, that's why he was so good to have been appointed, is because that doesn't affect him one iota and he just stays steady state right the way through. And yeah, I'd give him an A minus, and how he's managed to get 13 players to mix in with the lads that are here to maintain the culture, to then turn that into a winning team, to change be a little bit adaptive with his formations and stuff in different games. And yeah, massive credit to him, and long may it continue because I'm sure he's going to be here for quite a while as well.
Yeah, I echo that.
What a way to end.
Yeah.
Can't beat that.
No, I'm not going to try.
What is your rating though, Andy?
I'll give him a B.
A B.
I mean, he has only got one system, but what a system!
I'll give him a B.
I mean, look, there's always room for. I mean, we wanted him sacked after Cardiff, so come on.
You definitely wanted him sacked. That's what you give him a B. Fucking B. It's scandalous. B for boss. The boss, as the mural states. Any other business, gents? We've got this
No.
quiz to do, 28th of December. Tickets
Yeah.
still available from the Mize Gwyn. Please go and get that because it's only a £5 per person and you get fed. So you get paying a £5 for food with a bonus.
And it's
of
for
a quiz.
charity.
It's all for charity.
We do a lot for charity, mate.
I don't like to
Lot
talk
for
about that,
charity.
Liam. You know that.
Yeah.
Talk about my charity work.
He's coming for you, Andy. He's coming for you. Mr. Morrell, thank you so much for your time as always and your expertise and your matchday live level-headedness as always. Thank you very much for that. And hopefully
Thanks.
you'll join us at the quarter stage. We might as well do this. Now we've set ourselves up for this. We might as well do a quarter, a three-quarter, and a finale. So you've contracted for 3 more.
No problem. I'm there.
Cheers, guys. Thanks very
Cheers.
much.
Cheers. All the
Cheers.
best. Thank you. Take